I think one of the most compelling arguments for a memorial is how many people need it. We need a place to go where what we carry inside us is put on public display as a matter of record. And I'm talking about two kinds of memory here. For people who are living with HIV, particularly older people and people from non-white communities, stigma doesn't evaporate. And that needs to be honoured and to be put out on the street as a fact, to say one of the things that this work of art is commemorating is the fact that a huge number of people in this glorious city of ours were branded as pariahs. And we can't walk away from that because they can't walk away from that. And the other group of people who I think really need it in an immediate sense are people like myself who don't have the stigma of being HIV positive thrown on them by other people, but I don't have the luxury of forgetting those days.
Good to meet you at last, and I hear a lot of things about you from people who know, and I don't know enough about you. Ash, you are the one that's going to eventually give London its long-awaited AIDS memorial. Can we start with how you came about to want to start this project?
Okay, so in 2016, I had heart failure because I've got two inherited heart conditions.
Oh God, sorry.
And so I ended up in hospital, and 10 people were working on me with defibrillators and stuff. And the doctor said it's a miracle you survived. After that, I said, okay, well, I'm the freest person in the world now because this is all extra time. Again, borrowed time.
Yeah.
And so what do I want to do? Well, I knew there was a previous project for the AIDS Memorial in London. In fact, there were two. So I met with all the people involved with those projects and asked their permission if I can take over, build on their work to deliver an AIDS Memorial for London, learning. They'd already learned. Sean Berry, the Green Party, she was up for London Mayor, and one of her pledges was an AIDS memorial. Her at City Hall. She was an Assembly member, and she was just brilliant. And so we started off by getting the political right. Getting the London Assembly behind us. We initially did a petition to the mayor. So we got some publicity, launched on World AIDS Day, and the BBC spoke about it. And then we petitioned the London Assembly to get them to support us. They wanted. Everyone did. I can't take credit for this myself because this is built in on so many people's work, and so many people have been involved with this. But one of the problems was people within our own community. There were lots of attacks on them that people couldn't agree on a vision. People didn't want to spend money on memorialization. People didn't, some of the people weren't actually HIV positive, or they weren't around at the time.
Did you always sense this, which I do now, let's move on?
Yeah,
we've dealt with this. I find that, or the younger generation, it doesn't affect us.
But the problem I had wasn't with the younger generation. The problem was our own generation and people who should know better. They wanted something really small because they did not. And some people working in HIV as well, which was really crazy. And then, some people who were so-called activists, old-time activists, I would have thought that they haven't lived through HIV, seen so many of their own friends die, they would understand the epoch of AIDS,
Yeah.
and how HIV and AIDS changed everything completely.
But on the positive side, if you you got through that, because if you look at your literature, you have some very impressive and important people that are advising you, working with you. That gave me good heart when I read that. So
yes,
you got through it in a way.
We got through it, and there were other projects that people did. So there was a lot of tenacity, but I've been around a very long time, and I've been working in HIV since the 1980s.
Yeah.
So I'd already had a community. And so the old timers who were positive knew me from a very long time ago.
Okay.
We were all fighting in those days for the right reasons, but a lot of people walked away. We didn't. So there was, and when you've been to friends' funerals and, people's lovers, and they've come to my boyfriend's funeral, there's a bond you have that nobody will quite understand.
Absolutely. I know, as I told you before, I'm a widower, so I know that. But so let's get onto some positive stuff.
Okay.
You are moving forward. So what's the plan now at the moment?
Okay, so the important part was to get a location. It was to get the vision. The vision was very, very important.
Yeah.
Because we wanted something that was in central London. It had to be close to, it had to be of historical importance. So it's close to the Old Middlesex Hospital, where the first HIV treatment ward was established. It's near one of the busiest HIV treatment centres, the Bloomsbury Centre. And if we were going to go for public art, we needed to get a great artist. So we went through that whole process. So now that's all set. So the basics are all set.
Oh, good.
And we've got planning permission. So the next stage is raising money to fabricate a memorial, a great new public artwork in the centre of London, and to build it. But there's another side to the AIDS Memorial. So the AIDS Memorial is the AIDS Memorial in London by Ennio Galaccio, who's a great artist, one of the young British artists of that brigade or group. But the other side is we're delivering the AIDS Memorial in around 2028.
Okay.
And that's around 50 years of HIV. Now, this is a controversial date.
Yes.
But doctors in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco were calling up the CDC as early as 1978, where they officially recognized it 3 years later.
Okay.
So it's up to us to look at figures. So we're going for 78 as 50 years. And so when we launch it, we can ask questions. What meaning can we gain from 50 years of HIV, which is positive? And what is the reason to deliver the AIDS Memorial in London now? So there'll be a whole series of cultural programs, a whole cultural program around these issues, which will be artistic projects.
I should, my point of view, one of the reasons it should be in London is because when I had friends, say in Norfolk, who got diagnosed, they had to come to London for treatments. There was no options.
That's interesting. I mean, this is the AIDS Memorial in London. The national project, I hope, will be the joining up of all the AIDS memorials in the UK. And so collectively, that becomes the UK AIDS memorials.
But we should add something emotional here. You've chosen the spot where the Princess of Wales did the very magnificent thing of touching someone, which was a big sea change. We can't underestimate how important that movement was. And so I'm glad there's that thing too.
Roger, you and I totally understand the history because we were there. So it's very important. It was people like us who knew the history.
Yeah.
That we could keep to the history and not betray the history and rewrite it, which is something that happens quite often nowadays. And therefore, going to the old timers, people who knew they were talking about, and they had the passion and a real understanding why this had to be magnificent and huge, which it is. So we can really say to future generations that we must never forget. And so the projects around, the cultural projects, will really get us to understand why HIV and AIDS changed everything.
You've got a design and it reflect AIDS, HIV, or is it something sort of artistic rather than directed?
So, artist Anya
Yeah.
Gulaccio is a well-renowned artist, and what she's done is she's taken. I hate to speak for her, but she's
Okay.
taken a tree, and so you'll have one part of it which is the base of the tree where you could perform, and so it's a public space.
Oh, good.
But she's taken out all the rings of the tree and stood it up, which will stand by its side, which represents lost generations. And it should have a mirror effect so you can reflect yourself in it. So both parts becomes the AIDS Memorial in London.
Is it somewhere you can sit and contemplate?
Yes. So there's a park close, a new public square close by, and it's a very quiet area off Fitzrovia. And yes, you could sit down on the circular piece and contemplate. And it's a place where, say, gay men want to kiss and remember, they can do that. It's our space. It's a space for all the community. It's very important to work with every community to make sure everyone feels this is theirs. And it's not only gay men. And I think that naturally happens. So if you are from an ethnic minority or you've got some differences, I mean, the people I will know will be from a very wide range of people. You naturally, as an outsider, will think of everyone else as well, because that's how I have lived my life in the UK, born in the UK.
Just to go back, do you know the number of people we actually lost in England?
Now, this is a controversial figure because it's officially 40,000, but in the first 10 to 15 years,
people weren't. I was asking you if you'd been to the Memorial Garden in San Francisco, which I managed to get to last summer, on the edge of the Great Golden Park, and it's quite beautiful. And I just thought that was a really beautiful thing. I just saw at peace just sitting there. How much do you need?
So we need 2.5 million for the actual public artwork and the cultural projects. Now, it's very cost effective because the 7/7 memorial done 15 years ago at least cost 5 million. So we've cut costs to an absolute minimum. And we're talking to lots of people. I mean, we've got the mayor behind us, Khan. We've got the prime minister behind us. This is in his constituency. So we will get it delivered.
How can we help you? Where can we send money? What do we do? Is there any schemes at all?
Okay, so there's a you can donate money through the link, which hopefully you'll post, or through the website. It's very important that the community get behind us. We're going to have a whole series of events this year. So, now it's community building. Now let's all come together. Let's all deliver this. Make sure, because history is really important for us to, our own rights. When we're fighting for our rights, it's not only legal rights, it's our right to tell our narratives as they were, the right that our stories and something, HIV, if you think about it, if we're going by 78, decriminalization in the UK happened in 67. I mean, in the United States between 62 and 69. So it was around 10 years after that we saw HIV. So you can't really separate HIV from queer politics.
And therefore, it's always been important, as far as we're concerned, that we should be telling our own history.
Absolutely.
We should be telling the way we want to be. And we keep, as your kids just said now, it's not a long time, 69. And in fact, in England, we didn't do it in Scotland until later than that. And in Northern Ireland, didn't get it until 82. It's very recent. So we're going to send you money. What else do we need to do?
So come to our events, show that there's an appetite for an AIDS memorial, show that we really want this. Look at what we're doing. come to talks that we're giving. Anya will give a talk later this year. We're going to do an event, hopefully later on this year, where we will build a platform and we'll invite local communities in the area to host events so they get an idea of what the AIDS Memorial can be used for. So there's lots of exciting community building projects that are in the pipeline. And, you know, we're going to have a party at the Black Cat, by the way, to celebrate the planning permission. So when I get back to London, we'll do that, hopefully after the election, so I can get the politicians to come along.
That's an exciting note. That's an exciting note to finish on, because we should tell everybody who's watching this now. The Black Cab is going back hundreds of years and has just reopened. Thank you for talking to us today, and we're going to put all your details in. And thank you for doing this. This is really important to so many of us that people recognise and not they died for nothing, but we remember them. Thank you, Ash.
Thank you, Roger, for speaking to me. My new play is called Freddie Bye. It's the Indian story of Freddie Mercury, because my grandmother and Freddie's mum were best friends. My parents and his parents edited the Gujarati newsletter in Zanzibar. My mum was his babysitter, and they were very much involved with the Indian National Theatre. My father was artistic director in London when they left Zanzibar. And so in the 1960s, they were all in London together. And so these are the stories of Gujarati, Farrokh Bulsara, Freddie Bulsara before he became Freddie Mercury in the UK. So you learn stories about how he grew up and what happened in his life, but also, very importantly, where did he get that voice from?
Mama just killed a man. I got against his head. My trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun.